Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in to my weekly video message. As I mentioned in my video last week, through the month of December, the focus of my weekly video messages is going to be on hope. In this time of increasing hatred and cruelty and xenophobia and attacks on the humanity of so many people in our country, there are many of us who are really struggling with having hope. And so many of us are looking toward the future and are feeling discouraged and dispirited about what might come. And in addition, with the days growing shorter and darker, this is precisely the right moment to begin diving into hope so that we can learn how to find it in the dark. Now, last week I spoke about the importance of taking a long view of time, of grounding in our faith and in our hope that change is still possible and the world that we deserve is still attainable, even if the changes and the world that we want to see are unlikely to happen anytime soon. But this week I want to shift focus. And I want to talk about the hope that can come from recognizing that a world of hatred and cruelty and dehumanization is not inevitable. If we look at history, what we see more than certainty and inevitability is unpredictability. Those who are pushing a cruel and hateful and dehumanizing vision for our country would like us to believe that their vision is inevitable, that that is simply what's going to happen and we should just accept it. And they're saying that there is nothing that we can do to stop their hopes from being our future. But this is not how history usually goes. As Professor Howard Zinn writes, there's a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we have been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. What leaps out from the history of the past 100 years is its utter unpredictability. As I reflect on Professor Zinn's insight, I also think about the story of the Exodus from Egypt. For hundreds upon hundreds of years, our ancestors were enslaved under a powerful and seemingly invincible Egyptian empire. You could imagine them feeling like slavery would just continue, that there was no other future that was possible. You could imagine the sense of inevitability and the hopelessness that they must have felt. And yet, after plague, and specifically after the plague of the firstborn, the slave regime finally crumbled, and our ancestors were let free. Pharaoh was shown to not be invincible, and Egypt was not unstoppable after all. This is just as it is for our own world. A world of hatred and cruelty and dehumanization is neither inevitable nor unstoppable. We have the power, like our ancestors did in Egypt, and with God's help, to make change, to fight back against harm being done. And history is full of example after example of people making change against all the odds, and of the strongest and seemingly most invincible political realities crumbling before our eyes. In the face of all that we fear is coming and what has already taken root, perhaps we can find hope in noticing that history tells us that this is neither inevitable nor unstoppable. With that, I want to invite each of us to reflect this week. In what ways are you or are you not struggling with hope and despair in this moment? And what historical moment comes to mind when you think of the ways that hatred, injustice, and cruelty can be overcome and can collapse against all odds? As usual, I look forward to hearing your responses to these questions. You can reach me at rabbi@bethtorah.org. I look forward to hearing what's on your heart and your mind.